Title settled and the bill has been passed.
The National Teachers' Bill, passed by Parliament on April 23rd, has drawn both praise and criticism. The bill, designed to create a regulatory framework for Uganda's teaching profession, at its heart is the establishment of the National Teacher Council, which will set standards for teacher registration, training and development. But controversy erupted over one key issue, the qualification standard for teachers.
Members of
Parliament removed a blanket requirement that all teachers must have attained at least a bachelor's degree in order to be registered, a move that has exposed fault lines among stakeholders. Instead, MPs agreed that the Ministry of Education, in consultation with the National Teachers Council and the National Council for Higher Education, will set specific eligibility criteria through statutory instruments.
We harmonized and said this one should not be in the main law, that it should be the minister in consultation with the Teachers Council to put it in regulations as an instrument. So that one moves away from the main law.
The amendment comes after concerns that the degree requirement would exclude thousands of teachers who entered the profession through earlier pathways such as grade 3, grade 4 or diploma programs.
Let us look at what will be required of this current teacher with a grade 3 certificate or grade 5 to upgrade to have a degree in education.
Philbert Bakuma, Secretary General of the Uganda National Teachers Union, disagreed with the move, saying that the push for higher qualifications is about strengthening Uganda's education base and thus the clause should be considered.
Now, if you go to the world, all countries which have got the best education systems, you will find the minimum teacher having a master's degree. Now, here we have a misconception that when you are going to teach nursery, the pre-primary, you don't need to be having a degree.
If a secondary school teacher wants to marry, let's say, a nursery school teacher, they will underrate and look upon them, thinking that the others are of a low caliber or a low level because they are nursery school teachers, is a secondary school teacher or primary school teacher. But once you put the standard right, you balance the qualification, everybody will qualify as a teacher, get recognized and can move on to specialize.
However, Vincent Elong, National Chairperson of the Uganda Professional Science Teachers Union, agrees with lawmakers, saying that the original blanket degree proposal is extreme, especially for nursery and primary teachers.
Now, if somebody can become a president with senior 6 qualification, what about becoming a nursery teacher? So I think Parliament was spot on. It is not necessary.
He agreed that the current qualifications are sufficient and called to maintain the status quo as nursery teachers can deliver better services with certificate, primary teachers with a certificate or diploma, whereas a secondary teacher registered with a degree level qualification. Despite the disagreement on teachers' registration qualifications, there is consensus that serving teachers should not be pushed out. Bagma says the law is not retroactive and provides a 10-year grace period from presidential assent for teachers to upgrade.
So if you are 50 years today, within 10 years you will be retiring. You will be reaching mandatory retirement age and you will be exiting. Now, if you are still young, you have just joined the teaching profession, there is no reason why you should not aspire to improve your qualification.
Educationists also raised concerns on the mandatory continuous profession development the teacher must undertake before renewing their licenses. Baguma and Kaboyo agreed that continuous professional development is necessary on condition that it must not become a financial burden to teachers.
You can put a fee which is not so much, which is manageable, but we should not see it now also teachers moving up and down to make sure they meet the requirements.
However, alongside continuous professional development is not new and questioned why it is being repackaged.
Like we have teachers being trained to roll out new curriculum. We have science teachers. Every year they converge in every region in the country for systematic training. Those are continuous professional development. We have teachers go for marking training, marking exam. So I think maybe they are trying to weed out the people who are dodging this program. But as a teacher, when you know this is my job, it is your responsibility to make sure that you are up to date with the job.
The National Teachers Bill also asks teachers to renew their teaching certificate after 4 years. Under the new law, the practicing certificate shall become a teaching license. With this, along questioned the need and capacity to manage it by the responsible entity.
We have closely 135,000 primary teachers. In secondary, we have about 40,000. And then if you look at the institution, about 200,000 in the teaching profession. Now, I'm wondering, every 2 years, 4 years, these people will be running to one office for the renewal of the licenses. With the ministry even failing and government failing to supervise these schools, how it is operating.
Another contentious issue in the bill concerns teacher internship. Initially, the bill required interns to complete a mandatory internship, but Parliament removed this clause, citing lack of capacity to supervise such placements effectively under Clause 29 for internship requirement. But Kaboyo says both school practice and internship should be considered because the current school practice model is inadequate. However, he urged that internship must be considered on condition that it must be backed by resources and oversight. It was also agreed that teachers who violate ethical standards should be penalized. A convicted errant teacher will be imprisoned for 5 years or pay a fine of shillings 1 million and the suspension of teacher licenses for up to 1 year for offenders found guilty of teaching without authorization. The National Teachers Bill was passed by Parliament on 23 April 2026 and awaits presidential assent. The bill gives legal effect to the National Teacher Policy approved by Cabinet in 2019 that called for the National Teacher Council to regulate the profession. The bill's roots go back to the 2013-2014 UNESCO-backed diagnostic study on challenges facing teachers in sub-Saharan Africa. Uganda was part of the study and its finding shaped the 2019 National Teacher Policy. Dorothy Najita, NTV Weekend Edition.
Name is Amega.